Yesterday, I put out a video talking about my concerns about an increase in ICE activity in my area and in my state and the normalization of a police state. And in that video, I talked about how nobody is safe, not even Christians. Not even Christians who are fleeing for their safety because they are at risk for being harmed because of their Christian faith. And so if you are someone that is not bothered by what's happening with ICE, that is not bothered about these tactics and the people that they are picking up and the things that they are doing, I'm asking you to listen to this, especially if you are a person of faith, if you are a Christian who believes that when people have faith, they shouldn't be punished for that. On June 26th, Christianity Today published an article titled, "ICE Goes After Church Leaders and Christians Fleeing Persecution." On June 19th, an Iranian pastor from Los Angeles who came to the United States initially because he was seeking safety, seeking asylum due to the fact that he was imprisoned for his Christian faith in his country. He witnessed and recorded 2 of his church members being arrested on the sidewalks of Los Angeles.
Yeah, only my friend.
Where you're taking? Can I follow you?
No, only. What are you taking?
What?
Hold on, give me just a second.
Why you're taking him?
Nah,
Bora tu. Eshkana. Bora tu. Why are you doing this? 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 Why are you doing this?
You want to be arrested as well? You'll be under arrested.
Yeah, I'm a U.S. citizen. Arrest me.
Don't get closer. Stay there. Stay there. Stay back.
Let him go.
Stay there. Stay back.
She's bad.
Stay there.
Let her go.
Stay there.
Let her go.
You don't stay there, you're going to be arrested for
She's sick. She's sick.
Husband and wife had pending asylum cases for fear of persecution for being Christians and had been part of his congregation for about a year. And in this article, it says the detentions add to a growing number of church members and Christians seeking religious protection who get picked up by ICE. Often, they have no apparent criminal history. In many instances, they were in the United States lawfully, complying with orders from immigration courts. ICE has traditionally not deported individuals with pending asylum petitions. It says immigration arrests have shaken church communities across the country. In April, a Danish national and homeschooling father of 4 in Mississippi was arrested at his final citizenship hearing after an apparent paperwork error. As of late May, he remained in ICE detention. So this is a man who was doing things the right way, who showed up to court to do the right thing, the right and legal thing, and was very close to the end, who was arrested and taken off. A small group leader and deacon at another Tampa church was taken by ICE. This man was leaving home to go to work as a handyman on a Thursday morning in early April. This is a handyman, not a gang member. This man's wife was so distraught that agents had arrested her husband, leaving her alone with their 2 children. I can't erase those cries from my memory. He was very beloved, respected, very servant-hearted. And the church hired a lawyer, another pastor in Florida, and together they drove up and down the state trying to find him as he was moved between detention centers from Clearwater to Miami. My church is conservative. It votes conservative. But with what happened to Antonio, they all have come to the realization that this process that is being carried out is blatant. It's discriminatory. He was undocumented. That was his crime. But I think a man like this deserves a pardon. The President of the United States just pardoned a family that was found guilty of tax evasion. In May and June, the administration pushed to meet higher deportation goals. It began to detain more immigrants without criminal histories. According to government data, 65% of ICE bookends at detention centers are not criminals. The department, this is important, Christians, the Department of Homeland Security has said in court filings that it will prioritize deporting even immigrants who have had charges dismissed, and that it has ended protections for some Christians facing persecution in their homelands. All of us right now should be saying shame on this government. And I ask you to ask yourself if you have fallen into the propaganda trap. Have you come to believe that being in this country undocumented is a criminal offense? Because it is a civil offense, like speeding, like not wearing your seatbelt. That's not how we treat people who don't wear their seatbelt. And so if you recognize that this is not a criminal offense, just being here illegally, being here undocumented, that you came into the country legally and then overstayed a visa, that is a civil offense, not a criminal one. And you can easily fact check me and Google this. And so if you know that this is just a civil offense and you've got it out of your mind that these are criminals simply because they don't have papers, now you have to ask yourself if you still think it's fair that they're being kidnapped off the streets and terrorized and ripped from their homes for a civil infraction, something we do not do to anyone else in the United States. And in fact, we treat people who commit crimes, actual criminal offenses, better than we treat people that are here undocumented. I am asking people to think and stop parroting the things that they're hearing from this fascist administration. I have had so many comments on my last video that say he's a criminal, he's here illegally, he came illegally. If you come illegally, that's what you get. And what people don't understand is that not everybody that is here that is undocumented came here illegally, and that many of them, most of them, come here legally. They get on a plane, they walk across the border, they enter legally, and then they overstay a visa, which is not the same as coming over the border illegally. Those are two very different offenses. And most people here undocumented did not come here illegally. They didn't commit a crime to come here. They are here and they overstayed a visa. That is not criminal. And if you think that it is, you have to ask yourself, why? Why is it a crime to be brown, to not be American, and to be here more than 3 months? People will say, because they come here and they take advantage of the system, and that's not true either, because undocumented immigrants pay billions and billions of dollars in taxes. They contribute to local taxes, state taxes. They pay into the system and they do not receive benefits from the system. The only time they do receive benefits are in very exceptionally rare cases where they have children that need help or they are asylum seekers. We have a process for this. And for all of you that are out there saying, if you want to come here, do it the right and legal way, I also encourage you to say that our government should be deporting them the right and legal way, treating them the right and legal way. It goes both ways. And if you're just mad at brown people because you think they're criminal for existing in a land that was stolen, that doesn't belong to us, you have to really ask yourself why. And I think it's important that people who are very angry at those that aren't getting it, that are just agreeing with this administration and what they're doing, I think that we often see these people as bad or that they are unethical or immoral, but really most people just aren't thinking. Most people aren't bad. They don't have bad intentions. They've been given information and they haven't thought about it. And so in their minds, we have a whole bunch of violent criminals who came over the border illegally and are just running around and taking from the system because that's what they've been taught. But all of that is untrue. There's no doubt in my mind that we have undocumented people here that have committed crimes. We have American citizens that have committed crimes. And in fact, American citizens commit crimes at a much higher rate than undocumented immigrants. So statistically speaking, your fellow American neighbor is more dangerous than an undocumented immigrant, more likely to commit a violent crime. And if you're not concerned with data and statistics, if you're not concerned about your American neighbor committing a violent crime against you or defrauding the system, but you are concerned about the guy that stands outside of Home Depot in the hot sun for hours hoping he can make a few dollars an hour to support his kids and to feed himself, you're worried about them and you think they deserve to be treated with cruelty and worse than American citizens who commit felonies, worse than Brock Turner when he rapes a woman in an alley, you have to start wondering if maybe you have been led by bigotry, xenophobia, and racism. And when you get to that point, you don't have to feel the judgment and shut it all off, which is what a lot of people do when they feel shame. They want to shut it all off and they want to ignore it because the brain doesn't like to feel shame. I'm not trying to shame you. If you get to a point where you realize, you know what, maybe I've held some xenophobic views, maybe I've held some racist views, it's that moment that you can grow and learn and do better. That's what we all have to do. When we all realize we've fallen into a trap, we've fallen into propaganda, and we haven't thought about it. The moment we think about it and we have the information, we have to do better. And I'm asking you to do that. So if you are someone that has been vocal about your support of this administration because you think that we have people who are more criminal, more likely to commit crimes, people who are coming here illegally in the first place, people who are doing bad things and taking from the system. If you think that, and now you can go look it up, and you can fact check everything I'm saying in this video, and I will put the receipts on the screen. If you get to that point, you have a choice. You can continue in your bigotry, in your racism, in your xenophobia, because it feels comfortable and it's what you're used to and you want to save face, or you can do the right thing and have some integrity. And you can shift your perspective and you can start speaking up for those who are marginalized, those who are in need, especially you Christians, because your Jesus teaches it. Your Jesus says to welcome the stranger, to feed the hungry, to take care of the poor, to give a voice to the voiceless. That's what he said to do. And you don't get to make this a Christian nation and then ignore the very words of Christ. So I really want to stress that this is not just affecting hardened, violent criminals. This is now affecting Christians who are seeking asylum. And I think any Christian in America would agree that if a Christian is being persecuted, imprisoned, and faces the possibility of death in their home country, that we should welcome them with open arms, especially if we're going to call ourselves a Christian nation. This should be a safe haven for Christians. So I'm asking you guys to wake up, and I'm probably going to be repeating that a lot. Wake up, pay attention, think, do something, act like this is not normal, and stop normalizing it. I'm going to share the link with you guys in the description so that you can see for yourselves what I'm talking about. I myself have Googled the pastor in this article. I have Googled the church. I have looked this information up for myself because I know better than to just read an article. I go and I verify that these people even exist, that these stories are real and true, and we have video evidence of it. So I'm asking you not to close off to the information. And if you think that this is all just conspiracy and that you agree with Trump, it is still your civic responsibility to hold your leaders accountable and make sure that they're giving you the correct information. And coming from the people who didn't trust the government, wanted small government, don't put government in our lives. Those people need to be holding their government accountable, because the government didn't just suddenly lose all of its corruption, and in fact we have more corruption than we ever have. So pay attention, do the right thing, listen to your heart and your gut. I'm not here to be logical and to go through all these facts, and I'm here to speak from the heart to your heart and ask you as a human being, not as a white person, not as a Christian, not as an American, but as a human being. What do you feel is right? What do you feel is wrong? And what are you going to do about it?